Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yo! What's up, everybody, man? What's up? How you doing today on this beautiful Friday? It's snowing outside, so that's cool. And I did myself the displeasure of rewatching the Sixers-Warriors game from last night. And I'm going to tell you what I think about it. And I want you to tell me what you think in the chat. If anybody wants to jump on the Discord, I will also put that up a little bit later in the show. I'll post the link to the Discord. Call in if you want to call and give me your thoughts. Shout out to my man JJ. Go buy yourself 10 cups of coffee after the game. You deserve it. I am on number 3 right now. Nick Marchetti says, you look hungover after watching that game. No, I did not have any alcoholic beverages last night. The 76ers looked hungover during the game. That's what we need to talk about. Oh, shout out to Hot Coffee. All right, man, let's talk about it. Well, first, give me all the likes, bro. Do me a favor one time. I'll give you the watch-alongs and the post-game shows and everything absolutely free after every single game for the entire season. All we ask as YouTube content creators is that you take 1 second to hit that little thumbs up. It really, really, really helps out the streams and the videos in the algorithm. What else do I say in the beginning of my shows, man? Oh yeah, the merch is going away soon. The Maxie McCain 25 t-shirts, if you want one, they're still on the website. Only a couple of days left. 20% off. Code Sickos20. And we got a brand new Sickos logo coming out. So these original Sickos logos will no longer be available. They will be vintage. They will be historic. They will be one of one. You will never be able to get them again. So make sure you go over there and grab them, and thank you all for the support. All right, let's get down to business, man. The Sixers go into last night after blowing a bad game to the Kings, which was actually a decent game for 3.5 quarters, and then they choked incredibly hard in the fourth against the Kings, and that game carried over into this Warriors game. The mentality looked exactly as demoralized and depleted as they did at the end of the Kings game. It really looked like the Kings game ended. They walked off the floor and they walked right onto the Golden State Warriors court 5 minutes later and played another game. That's how they looked in this Warriors game. And my question ultimately is, what is the coach doing to get these players ready to play? Because how did you come out looking like that? My conspiracy theory here is that the Sixers partied on New Year's Eve and had a 2-day hangover. That's what they look like. They look like they lost to the Kings on New Year's Eve and went and partied for 24 straight hours with James Harden and Lil Baby and somebody else over in L.A. And then they came back to Golden State and they tried to play a basketball game 2 days later. That's actually very possible if you think about it. So that's what they looked like. They looked absolutely terrible. I mean, shout out to the Warriors for not being hungover from New Year's Eve, you know. The Golden State Warriors are the exact opposite of the Philadelphia 76ers. They are what you would call a terrible matchup for this team. The 76ers are slow and old. The Golden State Warriors, they have two old players who are still really good when they want to be, Steph Curry and Draymond Green, but they play a high-tempo, fast game. There's so much motion and ball sharing on the offensive side of the floor for the Golden State Warriors. The Sixers are way too slow to keep up with that, dude. And that's what you saw last night. Literally from the jump, from the very first possession. That's what you saw. This 76ers team is slow as hell. And, when you already know that, and then you have Nick Nurse deciding to start Kyle Lowry, dude, you threw the game before it even started. You threw the game before it even started. This is 2 in a row for Nick Nurse, by the way. 2 in a row. Because you went into the Kings game without Joel Embiid against Domantas Sabonis, who is a rebounding monster and a force in the paint. And you said, I'm going to start Gershon Yabusele against him, a guy who struggles as a defensive center and struggles to rebound against really good, strong rebounders like Domantas Sabonis. I'm going to start him. I mean, I'm watching a coach do the exact opposite of what you should do. This doesn't make any sense. So he says the Warriors play fast. No, he doesn't say anything because there's no game plan. There can't be a game plan. But if there was a game plan, he would say the Warriors play fast. They get end to end quick. They share the ball a lot. They shoot a lot of threes. We're already slow. And we're down Kelly Oubre, a perimeter defender, who, by the way, the last 2 games without Kelly Oubre, I mean, I know Jokic is leading the MVP race, and SGA is second. I might put Kelly Oubre third. as bad as the Sixers look without Kelly Oubre in the last 2 games. But Nick Nurse says, so we're without Kelly Oubre on the perimeter. Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, bro. Hey, guys, I got it. Come on in here. I got the answer. I've been sitting here. I've been thinking about it. How are we going to replace Kelly Oubre on the perimeter against a fast 3-point shooting team? I got it. And somebody on the coaching staff said to somebody else, let me guess, he's thinking about Kyle Lowry. Yeah, Nick Nurse put Kyle Lowry in there. How are we in 2025 and this coach is still playing Kyle Lowry? What is going on? Is nobody going to ask? Do these reporters ask him? This guy wouldn't be getting minutes on any other team in the entire NBA. So same thing I said about the Kings about Kyle Lowry. He's slow, short. He can't do anything anymore. And there was a specific play in the first quarter where Dennis Schroeder hit one of his 3 3-pointers in the first quarter where the Sixers rotated on a ball swing. I mean, it was actually, there's so much motion on the Warriors offense. All the plays ran together, but somebody swung it to Dennis Schroeder. Kyle Lowry was the rotate guy, and he jogged over. I mean, he didn't even try. He jogged over. And he actually kind of got there and, put a hand halfway up. And Dennis Schroeder looked at him and just shot a 3 like he was in a shoot-around or like he was warming up at a playground. Before just a pathetic defensive effort from not just Kyle Lowry, but everybody. Because there's other plays in that first quarter. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know the title is that I rewatched the game. I rewatched the first half. And then I said, okay, I got it. I've gathered enough information. I don't need to rewatch the rest of it. I watched it last night live. But rewatching it, that's what I noticed. The defensive effort from the jump was just pathetic. Pathetic. Joel Embiid was playing drop coverage. This is a team that sets a lot of ball screens. This is a team that sets ball screens and has guys coming off of other screens and dribble handoffs, and guys coming around 2 screens and running a dribble handoff, and guys coming around 2 screens and faking a dribble handoff and setting another screen, and guys... Action, motion. Wow. It's like rocket science, isn't it? But anyway, Joel Embiid was playing drop coverage on some of these ball screens. And the problem is he was just standing in the middle. He wasn't even making a decision. There's a play, literally, where Steph Curry comes around a ball screen and Joel Embiid is neither guarding the ball or the roller. And Jonathan Kuminga rolls to the rim, gets the pass. Not only did Joel Embiid not guard the ball or the roll man, he's just standing in the middle. Nobody rotated. Everybody just watched. Paul George looked over like, oh, look, Jonathan Kuminga doing a layup. Maxey looked over. Kyle Lowry looked over. And he just did a wide open layup in the middle of the paint. It was a downright pathetic defensive effort from the jump. And then you're talking about a team full of shooters. Steph Curry, Dennis Schroeder, Buddy Hield. I mean, Moses Moody was bombing away out there. Lindy Waters was bombing away out there. It was bad. Wide open layups, wide open cuts, no rotations. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, Reggie Jackson was bad on defense. Do I have to say that? It was bad. We had a couple of defensive possessions in that first quarter that started with Kyle Lowry guarding Draymond Green. I have to know what's going on. I need somebody to tell me what's going on. Because how does a head coach go into a game and have multiple possessions in the first quarter with 6 foot tall, 39-year-old Kyle Lowry guarding Draymond Green? And Draymond Green just cuts to the rim and gets the pass and either lays it up or hits Kuminga on the other side one time. Dude, and I've never seen this before. The Sixers were so bad defensively last night. There was a play where Draymond Green rolled to the rim, got the ball on the roll, hit the cut man on the opposite on the weak side, and it was 2 of them. Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins both cutting to the rim at the same time on the same side. The Sixers were so bad defensively. There was a play where 2 players cut at the same time in the same spot, and Draymond just got to choose which one he gave the ball to. What? Oh, just absolutely horrendous. Let's look at the stat sheet and draw some other conclusions, man. Shout out to you guys for being in here. Thanks for being here. And I'll read the chat, man. Let's where are we at here? Let's bring this up here. Where's my window capture? There we go. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Box score. Let's see. Paul George in 32 minutes gave you 19 points. Shocker, I guess. A decent Paul George game. It would be a decent Paul George game in a blowout. Caleb Martin, since taking down the Celtics and having a good game right after that, I thought he was all the way back, but Caleb Martin seems to be reverting back to the Caleb Martin that we were used to the whole beginning of the season. The solid 2 points in 22 minutes for Caleb Martin, 1 for 5 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. Joel Embiid, 28 points. It's a fake 28, guys. Stop it. You know what I mean? People that just watch the box score, they'll be like, well, Joel showed up. Joel had 28 and 14. Where was everybody else? This is why we watch games. Joel Embiid was pathetic energy-wise. He was pathetic defensively. He looked like he didn't care. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And really, dude, probably 8 or 9 of those points came in the second half when the game was already over and he was out here fucking sweep through foul baiting. The Sixers were down by 25 points and Joel Embiid was doing sweep through moves at the top of the key to draw free throws. How much do you not care about what's going on? To be doing sweep through moves to flop and get to the free throw line when your team is down by 25 points. Honestly, the Sixers starters were out there for way too long. I thought Nick Nurse should have pulled the plug at halftime, dude. I thought Nick Nurse should have been like, you know what, you guys don't want to play. I'm going to put the bench in. So it's a fake 28 and 14 from Joel Embiid. It was a terrible game. Don't let those stats fool you. Tyrese Maxey, oh my God. Oh, 4 for 13, 2 for 6 from 3, 4 for 13. And the sad part about that 4 for 13 from Tyrese Maxey is about 6 of them were wide open layups that he missed. So you could chalk it up as like one of those games where nothing goes in and the other team is shooting the lights out. But the effort from the Sixers was bad. They looked, I'm telling you right now, bro, I'm dead serious. I think they were hungover. They looked off balance. They looked out of sync. They looked like they couldn't think straight. There was no communication. It was all bad. They looked not just hungover, actually. They looked like they were drunk. That's where I'm at with it. Shout out to our boy Gershon Yabusele, for 13 points off the bench. That's dope. The second game in a row, I want to talk about the fact that Jeff Doughton Jr. played 15 minutes because it wasn't just garbage time minutes. Jeff Doughton Jr. was in the game in the first quarter because Kyle Lowry was so bad that Nick Nurse had to take him off the floor. So for the second game in a row, Nick Nurse had a genius idea to start Kyle Lowry. And then he was so bad the first couple of minutes that he had to call a timeout and take him off the floor. And he had to go with Jeff Doughton Jr. Why is he not just going with Jeff Doughton Jr. off rip? Why are we even playing Kyle Lowry? Your epic buyout role players, Reggie Jackson, Eric Gordon, they're, amazing, right? Amazing supporting cast put together by Daryl Morey. It's just fantastic. It looks a lot better with Kelly Oubre and KJ Martin in there. And I'm starting to draw up a conspiracy here that the 76ers, there's a trade brewing because this KJ Martin, Kelly Oubre being out thing, and I don't really remember Kelly Oubre getting hurt. I don't even really remember KJ Martin getting hurt, and he's been out for like 4 games now. So be on the lookout for a KJ Martin, Kelly Oubre plus first round picks for, I don't know, but hopefully it does something because the supporting cast and actually everybody from the top down looked like trash in this game. I do want to say this, Nick Nurse had to go. He went with the deep bench, of course, once he threw in the white flag. I'm not sure why he played Justin Edwards in the first quarter against the Kings and didn't play him the rest of the game, and then didn't play him at all in the game last night until it was a blowout. I don't know. Nick Nurse is so random. There's no real rhyme or reason to anything that he's doing. He's just out there guessing every day. But Adem Bona comes in the game, and you're struggling in recent games with size and rebounding and rim protection. And Adem Bona, now he had a total of 9 minutes, but he put up these stats in the first 5 minutes he was on the floor because I remember looking at the stat sheet while I was watching it while he was on the floor. In 5 minutes, his first 5 minutes off the bench, he had 3 rebounds and 2 blocks. Bro, I just don't get it. You're struggling to rebound and defend the rim. You have a 6'10", 250-pound, 21-year-old on your bench, and you won't put him in the game. And then you throw him in once the game is over, and he has 3 rebounds and 2 blocks in 5 minutes. It's so frustrating. And I'm just watching the same thing over and over again. I'm watching the same thing over and over again. Over and over and over and over again. And no, these players, Justin Edwards and Adem Bona, they didn't look great when they came out there. They looked rusty. They looked like, you know what they looked like? They looked like they got thrown on the floor randomly and never get enough time to build any type of comfortability or chemistry or, you just, this is not how you develop young talent. You can't just, throw. It's sad that I'm saying the same thing I was saying all of the Doc Rivers years. I'm saying it now with Nick Nurse. And Let's play a little game here, guys. Let's play a game called... Let's play... Dalton is literally trash, bro. Yeah, well, so is Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon and Reggie Jackson. And let's play a little game here. It's called, would Nick Nurse play this player? Because once again, we play a team that plays a lot of young players. And we see some players off of the bench who are effective. And I immediately say to myself, you know, back when we were losing to the Toronto Raptors in the beginning of the season, all these 20-year-old players running you off the floor, I say to myself, would Nick Nurse play that guy? And last night, our boy, Lindy Waters, undrafted out of, where's he out of, man? Undrafted out of Oklahoma State, a Native American basketball player, undrafted, Lindy Waters, had 10 points off the bench last night in 16 minutes. He was 4 for 7. He was 2 for 4 from 3. And I've seen him have a couple good games now for the Warriors this season. And my question is, if Lindy Waters was in a 76ers uniform, how old is Lindy Waters, bro? He's 27. Wow. So he's been bouncing around the G League and other places for a while now. Would Nick Nurse play a guy named Lindy Waters III? If it's the frustrating part about seeing games like this where a player like that is on the floor, the answer is no, he would not. And I'm continuously seeing other coaches get things out of players like that. I'm seeing coaches succeed or you know, get a little bit of support out of players like that off the bench. And I watch Nick Nurse, and I just don't see him. He doesn't elevate anybody. He does not elevate anybody. Steve Kerr and his system and his philosophy and the way that he runs things obviously elevates players. You know? Nick Nurse had Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield was only 1 for 5 last night, but he's had some good games this season. Nick Nurse couldn't figure out how to... He literally said in a press conference, you know, I'm having trouble... We're having trouble. We're trying to figure out how to get Buddy Hield in the lineup. I don't feel like Dennis Schroeder would be playing as good as he's playing right now under Nick Nurse. And pretty obviously, young player like Jonathan Kuminga probably wouldn't, and an undrafted Native American basketball player named Lindy Waters III wouldn't even sniff the floor under Nick Nurse. He would be playing all the old guys. And you look at the Warriors and, you know, they also don't have a team full of old guys. Actually, they have one old guy. His name's Kyle Anderson. All right. Kyle Anderson is 6'9", 230 pounds. And he's completely washed. You know what I mean? Kyle Anderson is completely washed. He's had some decent moments in the NBA over his career. He's 31 years old. He's cooked. He's not good at it. Steve Kerr does not play him. He threw him in there in garbage time when the game was already over, but Steve Kerr does not play him. Nick Nurse would be playing Kyle Anderson probably in the starting lineup on this team. Kyle Anderson would be in the starting lineup. Lindy Waters would get no time. Jonathan Kuminga would probably still be on the deep bench, or he would have got released a couple of years ago. It's, you know, I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again, man. Over and over and over again. So I went over to Twitter, man, and I said, hey, I typed in Nick Nurse, honestly, because I was looking for a Nick Nurse press conference. And because I haven't been listening to Nick Nurse press conferences, and I'm kind of wondering, like, are they asking the guy, are they asking him what's going on? You know, what are they asking him in these press conferences? And I need to find out what they're asking him. But shout out to Jacob Moreno. Nick Nurse going with Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson over Ricky Council when the Sixers have run out of gas midway into the first quarter is a choice. Oh my goodness. And no, Ricky Council's not a great basketball player. He's what you call a wild card. You don't know if he's going to throw the ball over the top of the backboard, dive into the fourth row, punch somebody in the face, or go triple through the legs, step back three from 35 feet and miss it by a mile. But the athleticism and the speed and the aggression that Ricky Council has is so lacking on this Sixers team that, yeah, you just can't go Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson, bro. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. I don't see any Nick Nurse press conference clips. Let me go to media, man. We gotta find Nick Nurse press conference. That's not it. All right. Let's try this. Do you think it's on YouTube? I just want to listen to it. I don't know if these reporters are asking him any questions worthwhile. I don't know. Oh, here we go. It's Nick Nurse, 76ers postgame interview 12 hours ago. Here we go. Let's see. After the buzzer, this guy says, help grow my channel. Please subscribe. I got you. After the buzzer. Thank you for posting this. Let's hear this, man. Let's hear what this guy said after the game, because I haven't been listening to his post-game press conferences, and I just want to know, are the reporters even asking him the things we need to know?
Nick, we've obviously talked a lot about the defense in a positive sense over the last week or so. Obviously, that was not the case tonight. Just what led to the breakdowns?
Well, we had a little bit of a energy issue, obviously, tonight. I think that created a little bit by both ends, really. I thought we didn't establish.
We had an energy issue, he said.
Established very, very much offensively early. Kind of tried to jump shoot them out early, and that just put us in transition. And they were obviously part of what.
So Joel Embiid was not physical enough in the first quarter. You guys were settling for jump shots, and they were getting long rebounds and running because that's a fast team. So how is your game plan against a fast team not to establish yourself offensively and avoid starting the game with a bunch of long rebounds? Let me in there.
What they were going to do tonight was try to run us after the back-to-back and just in general, right?
Blame it on a back-to-back, huh?
Back and just in general was try to run us after the, and they were obviously part of what they were going to do tonight was try to run us after the back-to-back and just in general, right?
Soft.
And we were late back. They were moving a heck of a lot faster than we were. Just a step behind right from the start at both ends, and that just dug ourselves a huge hole, and it just kind of continued. Yeah.
Was there for you guys a hangover from last night in terms of how you lost the game last night?
No, it's been a 2-day hangover from New Year's Eve partying.
Of how you lost the game last night? A hangover from last night?
Dug ourselves a huge hole, and it just kind of continued. Yeah.
Was there for you guys a hangover from last night in terms of how you lost the game last night?
Yeah, maybe. I think you got to get over those quick. I don't know if that was part of it or just a lot of our key guys played big minutes last night and then don't get anything to show for it really. But you got to come to play. That's the schedule, and you got to get ready to go to battle. And we certainly weren't ready at the start tonight.
Are you going to take blame for it or what?
Just how would you assess Joel's performance overall tonight?
Well, I think again, I'm not sure I liked I'll include myself in this, establishing him early in the game, right? And he kind of was out of the game for the first, even though he was in, wasn't really involved in the game, I should say it, probably as much as we needed him to be. Then, obviously, we start finding him, and he started going to work, and I thought he was pretty aggressive. Took it inside, got to the free throw line quite a bit. I kind of liked the way he played, but we probably should have involved him. Aggressive, took it inside probably as much as we needed him to be. Then, obviously, we start finding him, and he started going to work, and I thought he was pretty aggressive. Took it inside, got to the free throw line quite a bit. I kind of liked the way he played, but we probably should have involved him at the start.
There was a point in the third where I think you got it down to like 13
Yeah.
or something like that, and that's when Steph kind of went on that run.
Yeah.
Just when you're in the midst of that, when like an all-time great player. is
Ask him the real questions. Don't ask him to circle jerk Steph Curry now. Oh, what's it like when you're playing against one of the greatest players in the... Shut up.
what they do, like just what does that feel like as a coach?
Well, I mean, I think that
These reporters
it's not like
suck,
the first
dude.
time I've been through it. I think what
Ask him a real question. Who let this lady in the room?
what you got to do is understand that it may be coming, right? He may make 3 in a row or something. And the biggest thing is your team. You can't get too dispirited. You just got to understand that you just got to keep doing your best. I mean, we obviously didn't make him miss a 3 all night, right? But a lot of that was just, most of those we just lost him in transition and things, and we couldn't get matched up.
Dude, you could see the heat checks coming from a mile away. As soon as they inbounded the ball, you knew Steph Curry was shooting it from about half court. Maybe put a player at half court, huh? Maybe try to make him get rid of the ball. No, just let him walk down there and shoot it whenever he wants to.
Or we got weird matchups, and then we just didn't do a good enough job on him. But when you're in the middle of one of those, you gotta try to get the ball back, get down there and try and get some of it back, and then just keep fighting. I mean, he's gonna make them. He's probably the greatest shooter ever to play. So can't be too surprised if he makes a few in a row or he banks one in or whatever he ends up doing.
Is there a little bit more of an onus for you guys to, I don't want to say play perfect because nobody's going to play perfect,
Yeah.
but is there a little bit more onus for you guys to play as close to really well as possible given the start of your season?
What?
Close to really well as possible.
Ends up doing.
Is there a little bit more of an onus for you guys to, I don't want to say play perfect because nobody's going to play perfect,
Yeah.
but is there a little bit more onus for you guys to play as close to really well as possible given the start of your season?
Well, I mean, I think that
As close to really well as possible.
again, I think you go look at maybe the last 15 or 16 games, and there's been, maybe 14 of the 16 we've played pretty well. We really, executed, give ourselves a chance. We didn't win them all, but we gave ourselves a chance to. Did win a lot of them. Probably going to get 1 or 2 of these sprinkled in a 20-game span, right? So I think we've got our 2 sprinkled in now.
Oh, there you go. The classic Doc Rivers scheduled loss excuse, or the basketball gods didn't want us to win tonight, or over the course of 20 games you're gonna have a couple like this. Wow, nice, bro.
Right, but to your point, we gotta regroup, man, and go get this next one, and ends up being a decent road trip. Not an easy road trip. Ends up being a decent road trip if we can go get the next one. Yep.
Coach, I mean, getting back to Curry, is it also one of those nights too where it looked like he was just kind of in his zone tonight? Because there were a couple times he made some shots where even I think he seemed surprised by the
Who gives a fuck, dude? All these reporters doing is jerking off Steph Curry the whole post game.
the result.
He had a couple of those, I think, but geez, he certainly made a lot of spectacular shots. I think the one he banked in obviously probably surprises anybody, and then he pulled one from about 40 feet. I think it might have been his last one, but it was one of the last.
Coach, do you want to explain? Okay, here's me. Let me play me in the press conference. I get the next question for Nick Nurse. Okay, Nick, DJ Eastwood here, running back Philly. Could you give the fans a little bit of an explanation as to what your thought process is going into a game, starting a player at the age that Kyle Lowry is at? Like, I think the fans just kind of want to know what your thought process is with continuing to play a player like Kyle Lowry at this point of his career in the starting lineup. This is 2 games in a row now where Kyle Lowry has started the game and has looked completely outmatched athletically, speed, height, strength, size, everything. Just kind of let the fans know what your thought process is as you continue to play Kyle Lowry at this stage of his career. With the fact that you guys are struggling athletically and size-wise. Just let the fans know kind of why you would play such a short, fat, slow motherfucker in a game like this. Okay, go ahead, Nick. And then I get escorted out by security.
Last ones, and he made that one too. So, yeah, I mean, listen, you let him shoot it in any way.
You're getting ran out of the building end-to-end speed-wise. You decide to not only bring Kyle Lowry back on the floor, but you decide to bring Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson onto the floor at the same time, who are 2 35-plus-year-old players who are probably some of the slowest in the entire NBA. Just let the fans know kind of why.
He can make them from anywhere on the court, and he can make them in a variety of ways.
But again, Nick Nurse gave him this roster. Daryl Morey gave him this roster. This is the same thing Daryl Morey was doing with Doc Rivers. It's like the coach, every time they hire a coach, I feel like the coach has input on the roster construction. Daryl Morey's meeting with Nick Nurse, and he's saying, hey, I need veterans. We have our guys at the top. We got Joel, Paul George, Maxey. Give me win now veterans. Give me playoff tested veterans, And that's what he goes and does. And he goes and signs a bunch of guys that are way past their prime and can't even play anymore. That's why they were, released from their teams. That's why they were buyouts. And that's what happened. So Daryl Morey, I'm starting to think, is a yes man to the head coach now for the second coaching tenure in a row. And that's why the roster looks like this. These guys aren't smart, dude. They're not smart. They think that, these are nerds that never played the sport. They don't know what they're doing. They think analytics. They don't have any care about youth and size and strength and athleticism and the way that they're not looking at anything in the league. They're not looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Houston Rockets or anybody else and saying, like, how are they winning? What is their roster construction? Oh, look, they got 5 6'10" athletes out there. Maybe that works. No, the Sixers, Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse are 2 Dungeons and Dragons nerds who, use a bunch of math equations and they say, okay, here's this guy's career stats. If we plug him into this equation, this is going to equal this many wins, and our chances of winning in the playoffs are higher with experience and other bullshit. These guys are idiots, dude. And that's a fact. And, basketball's not that complicated. It's 5-on-5. These people getting these positions, they think they're geniuses. They overcomplicate the whole thing. And, you can, with a good roster, you can win a championship. And that's what Nick Nurse did in Toronto. But as soon as Kawhi left, Toronto fans turned on him because they started seeing the flaws. They started seeing his refusal to play young players, his refusal to try something different, and he just kept doing the same thing over and over and over until he got fired. And then he comes to Philly, and he thought, I'm going to have a championship level roster again, like I did in Toronto with the Kawhi roster. And so, I'm going to be able to get back on the championship level winning that I was doing in Toronto. And turns out he doesn't have a championship level roster. He's dealt with injuries, and the same weaknesses are being exposed. And, he's ruining his reputation. I'm sure he's frustrated about it, but he's not trying anything different. That's for damn sure. I think that's all I want to say about this game. Let's look at the Sixers' schedule coming up, I guess, and see, how we feel about it moving forward. Hayden, thank you for a super chat, man. Got to make a trade at the deadline. You think Oubre really hurt, or is there something brewing? Same with KJ Martin. Dude, it looks like, and Cam Johnson is injured again, so there's that too. It would just be perfect that the 76ers trade for another injured player. I think that's why the Nets are having trouble, getting the 2+ whatever first round picks they want for Cam Johnson, is that he's hurt all the time. I mean, I said it earlier in the stream and I said it last night. I think KJ Martin and Kelly Oubre being out for a couple games is starting to, give me a feeling that there's something going on. I just typed in Sixers trade on Twitter, and we're not going to find anything here. There's just going to be talking about Jimmy Butler, who I got news for you guys. If you and I said, would you trade Paul George for Jimmy Butler? Yeah, of course I would. And Butler came out yesterday and officially requested a trade and said in a press conference that he wants his joy back or whatever. And the Heat are going to trade him before the deadline. But the Miami Heat do not want to pay Paul George $50 million for 4 years. And I got more news for you. No team in the league wants to pay Paul George $50 million for 4 years. He is 100% absolutely untradeable. Untradeable. It doesn't matter if he has a no trade clause. He's absolutely 100% untradeable anyway, because nobody is interested in paying 35-year-old Paul George $50 million a year until he's 39. So you can't trade Paul George. It doesn't matter. Maybe we could type in Sixers trade on Google and see if anything comes up. Let's see here before we get out of here. This will be fun. 3 wing players the Sixers could target at the upcoming trade deadline. What do we got? 3 hours ago, Liberty Ballers. What the Sixers can and can't do with a KJ Martin trade. Sixers could already cut ties with Paul George in favor of... No, they can't. This website's trying to tell us what I just told you can't happen, which is trading Paul George for Jimmy Butler. Let's see if they can convince me here. Matt John of the Sporting News, and he put in favor of disgruntled $146 million star so that he could clickbait and get, I don't know, people that have disgruntled star he's talking about. Click. And he's talking about trading Paul George for Jimmy Butler. I don't even have to read that because the Miami Heat are not interested in paying Paul George $50 million a year. Give it a rest. Liberty Ballers, what the Sixers can and can't do with a KJ Martin trade. Let's see. KJ Martin becomes tradable, trade eligible on January 15th, which means trade season. Come on, get out of here. Which means trade season is officially upon us. Why is it scrolling down by itself? Okay, I got to hold the scroll bar. Nope, that ain't working either. Before you rush to commit war crimes on your favorite trade machine, it's worth reviewing that. Why? What's wrong with this website, dude? Liberty Ballers, your website's broken. I can't even read the damn article, man. Too many ads and auto scrolls and all this BS, dude. The Sixers are 4.6 million above the... Fuck it, I'm not reading it, dude. Fix your website. 3 wing players the Sixers could target at the upcoming trade deadline. 76ers have turned things around following a slow start to the season. Have they? When was this written? Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis is shooting 42.3% from deep for the Kings while being a pest on the defensive end. He's quintessentially 3-and-D player to put next to Embiid, Maxey, George, and he's only making $2.1 million in 24-25. I agree with that. And I think adding Keon Ellis would be great for the 76ers. Is it a game changer? Well, I mean, Keon Ellis is better at basketball than Ricky Council, and he's younger and more athletic and everything than Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson and any of these other guys that Nick Nurse is bringing off the bench. He hit a massive three-pointer against the Sixers just 2 games ago in the fourth quarter that really sparked the run that ended the game on a 15-0 run. And a young player like that would match the timelines of Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain moving forward. So, yeah. The question is, does Daryl Morey know who that is? And would he give up any assets for Keon Ellis? And the answer to that is no. Because Daryl Morey doesn't know who that is. Daryl Morey was on the radio one time during the Ben Simmons saga, and he said out loud, they just want me to, the Sixers fans want me to trade him for a bunch of random guys. He said that out loud on 97.5 The Fanatic. And then he traded him for James Harden past his prime because that's the only player that he knew existed. We could trade for LeBron and Nurse would still start Lowry. Yeah, Nick Nurse probably wouldn't even play Keon Ellis, dude. Herb Jones. I don't know if this one's doable, but another player that's a quintessential young 3-and-D player who would, help your team right off the bat and would also help your future and match up with the timelines of Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. It's either of these guys is going to take the 2028 unprotected Clippers pick in a trade. And I mean, who are they? Are they giving us a mock trade? They're not giving us a mock trade, are they? They're just throwing these players out there and saying it's possible to trade for them. What would you have to trade for him? He's an elite defender, which will come in handy against guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, Herb Jones is 6'7". He has a 7-foot wingspan, and he shoots. He's only 30% from 3 this season, but he's 41.8% last season, and he's a 39% career 3-point shooter. So, this season shooting 30% from 3 on a terrible Pelicans team. Don't really take that to heart. Corey Kispert, a sniper. I don't know. Not really anything to write home about defensively. I don't think at this point for the Sixers, I don't think a 3-point shooter who can't play any defense really helps you out. The 76ers need guys like this. They need length, athleticism, perimeter defense, who can also do a little bit of something on the offensive end and can shoot a good percentage from 3, playing alongside Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. Yeah, I agree with this, man. Herb Jones and Keon Ellis are two guys that would be big-time additions at the trade deadline. One of these guys and a backup point guard, you need a guard, dude. You need if you don't get a guard, bro, Kyle Lowry, Nick Nurse is going to play Kyle Lowry into his grave. If you don't get a point guard, Nick Nurse is going to play Kyle Lowry until he dies. Yes. He's going to play Kyle Lowry until he dies. If Kyle Lowry still wants to play when he's 79 years old, Nick Nurse will play him. Mike Meadows says cap. Well, I think that was a pretty obvious joke. Butler wants a contract. You'll be in the same situation as Paul George. Facts. You can't trade Paul George anyway. You said cap to Kyle Kuzma is better than Paul George. Well, Kyle Kuzma is better than Paul George. We got to take everything into account here, No, I'm not going to say he's better than Paul George. Paul George is still incredibly impactful defensively. And he had a shot falling last night, and he had a shot falling the night before where he had a 30-point against the Kings. Paul George is washed athletically. He can't jump anymore. Some of the times that he tries to jump and falls over looks a lot like that guy named Joel Embiid who tries to jump and fall over. The whole team just looks incredibly old and broken, really. But nah, I wouldn't say Kyle Kuzma is better than Paul George, but Paul George is not the Paul George that we thought we were getting. That's for sure. Is Paul George a perennial all-star? What? He's averaging 14 points a game this year, bro. There's a spider on my monitor. It just scared the hell out of me. Yeah, so I think I rambled for long enough. Hey, thank you guys for hanging out with me, man. I appreciate you. Over 400 of you in here right now. Hit the like button one time. I appreciate the support, the consistent viewership. You guys are amazing, man. This is one of the highest return viewer channels on all of YouTube. Did you guys know that? Like overall views, yeah, it's not like I'm doing millions of views, but the return viewership on this channel is like 5,000%. You guys, it's amazing how many of you continue to tune in show after show after show. So I must be doing something right. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you all very soon. Have a great day.